So you've seen us do a lot of our major projects, like the galley remodel and our haul out. But what you haven't seen is all the micro projects that go on in the middle of all the big ones. Although we don't film all the little things, we found ourselves with a collection of footage from all the small projects and decided to make a video dedicated to the little stuff. So, while I clean our diesel tank, you can kick back and watch us cross things off our to-do list.
Back in 2021, we did a lot of projects from the galley remodel to the mast rebuild, but one of the best things we accomplished was refinishing our cabin sole, which we didn't really talk much about online. Honestly, we didn't think anyone would care as much as we did, but we were wrong and people wanted to know more about the process.
Something that is very cool about Avocet is that her entire cabin sole is removable, which made this process way easier since we could varnish outside the boat.
So right now we're sitting in the bilge of our boat. I'm right above our fuel tank, which is right underneath my feet right here. Compression post is right to the left. This is the shallowest our bilge is in the entire boat. Going aft, it gets very deep, going back to like 6 feet deep. I am just strengthening all of these support beams up here. For whatever reason, I just put these in, I just made these, but the original owner of the boat took them out and put in some weird 2x4s going this way and that way. And anyways, it just wasn't very solid. So hopefully this design brings some strength back to this whole area. I'm also making these little wedges and I'm gonna put them up underneath the cross members. Another reason that this is very not strong is that this was cut right here because these posts go straight down when we want to put it as a bed. So I get why he cut it, but he just left it not even with these wedges. He just left them kind of floating around like that. So they've been doing that for the last 40 years. So I made these nice little wedges. I'm gonna grab some thickened epoxy and goop it all up in here. It's already loads stronger than it was. So hopefully there's less squeaking. That's really the main reason for all this, is that it was unsupported, so it was really loud. The floor was loud.
Naturally, there were some areas that needed to be reinforced, which was simple using some leftover teak.
Once the floors had all the imperfections fixed, it was time to varnish, and we chose to use all wood, which is one of our favorite because of its durable finish.
So we just got the primer down on these boards, and it's looking really good. In the areas that we did have some repairs to do, like this piece of holly right here was completely missing, so that's actually epoxy now that's been floated to the surface. It looks really good, and I think it just all has to do with having a clear epoxy versus the epoxy that has like a dark amber to it. So these are going to sit for the next at least 24 hours. Tomorrow we'll get the first coat of varnish on them, and then after that it's kind of a daily thing where we put at least 3 coats on in a day, and we are going to do 9 coats in total. So a lot more work to do, but for sure, but the hard part's over. Now it's just a quick sand and then recoat.
Back on the dock, we flipped over our freshly varnished floorboards to paint the underside. Our paint of choice is Tioclad, a great mold-resistant 2-part epoxy paint that is as tough as nails. With the paint dry, we installed noise-dampening insulation material to help keep the cabin quieter when the engine is running.
All right, so this is what it looks like with the insulation on. It's not very thick insulation. It's only about maybe 3/8 of an inch, but I'm hoping that it does a little bit of sound insulation for us. It's self-adhesive, which is great, so it sticks to the board itself, but then I'm just lining the edges with this aluminum tape that's made for it. So I think it looks really clean and really it's really good. So this is what a finished floorboard looks like. The varnish on this side is done. There's been Tioclad put on the backside surface. This is a 2-part epoxy paint. It's very hard stuff. So now that the plywood is completely sealed from the atmosphere, any moisture that might get into this, say we flood the and pull boat to the floorboards, I'm really not going to worry about them deforming and falling apart. So this one is ready to go in. Let's go put it inside the boat.
To help ensure a tight fit and prevent floorboard squeaks, we installed felt between the boards, specifically the ones that are often removed for engine access. As usual, this was easier said than done and resulted in mild frustration, as well as dropping the GoPro in the aforementioned 6-foot bilge.
Oh my god. Seriously right now?
Don't worry, we got our GoPro back and finished the project. We are still so happy with the results and can't believe we waited so long to check this off our list.
So while we were filming our close-ups, I completely forgot to mention that we made this little grate here. The boat originally came with a little dustpan, which is right here, as you can see, which is awesome, but the original design is that there was no holes in the cover. So I wanted to make this feature as easy as possible to use, and I knew that sweeping things under a rug was our style.
With the cabin sole completed, it was time to move on to our next project of refinishing the deck Nonskid and cabin top paint.
This has been basically the only part on our entire deck that I've felt a give, and we've also heard like a fiberglass cracking sound. So now that we have gotten the Nonskid to the point where we are right here and it's time to start doing the Nonskid, I wanted to blow apart this part of the deck and just basically make sure everything's all good. So after taking off the glass, which now I have learned is about 3/8 of an inch thick, just on the top layer, we have very clean and dry, healthy core, which is great. This is also proving that Cheoy was truthful in our reporting that our boat has solid mahogany planks as its core. It's not very common for this era of a boat to have mahogany core. Usually it's a balsa or plywood. So this is very cool to actually see with my own eyes and feel it and touch it. So everything is really quite good. I just think that over the 40 years that this boat has been serving people, people just coming in right here and hitting their feet really hard on this spot, I think it's just delammed the top layer from the core. So now knowing how thick our deck is, I actually don't think this is very necessary. It just kind of sounded bad every time someone would step there and you'd be downstairs. So I'm gonna lay some new glass on it, call it a day, and you'll never be able to see it.
Having finished our deck Nonskid, we turned our attention to the cabin top, all while making progress on our hardtop Dodger.
Ever since we bought Avocet, there's been one thing in the cockpit that I have not just disliked, but actually hated. That one thing is the one Dorade cowl that doesn't match our beautiful brass ones up there. I don't know why I kind of know why the Dodger sloped in really steeply, so I don't think that one of those was going to fit nicely underneath the Dodger front. So the owner decided to take it out, which I get, but instead of like cutting it and making it a smaller one, he just decided to go with this plastic piece of crap. I've always hated it. It's gross looking, and now, due to the fact that I actually found one of our Cheoy cowls at Mike's consignment right next to us, I'm able to get rid of this piece of garbage and put on something that looks beautiful again. So another awesome thing to like finally check off the list. Yes, goodbye.
All right, just got the turtle shell and traveler, all of the bolts taken out. This is probably going to be pretty gross because there's about 40 years of dirt, hair, and whatever else is going to be underneath this. So I am very excited to take it off.
After disassembling the entire cabin top, Chris got to work fixing the spider cracks, priming with 545, then painting all the glossy sections with all grip. For our Nonskid, we decided to go with a brand called Soft Sand, which is a cork rubber additive you mix in with all grip top coat. It is very durable, looks good, and performs great when wet. plus it feels pretty good under bare feet.
Sewing can be, at the very least, repetitive, so while making our cushion covers for the quarter berth and our stack pack, we didn't film a whole lot. If you are looking for a step-by-step video tutorial on how to make anything with fabric in a machine, we suggest checking out Sailboat's website.
So over the years, we have acquired a lot of scrap wood. Some of it came from our neighbors, like this big board right here came from our old dock neighbors, Finn and Nancy. And we have a bunch of other pieces from boaters that know if you have teak, call the Neelys and they will come get it. So we have acquired a lot of odds and ends and we've used it for a lot of projects. But now that we are losing our storage unit and don't have a place to put it, we got to use it. What we're going to do today is we're going to build a shelf because I've been needing a shelf in our stateroom. And then, yeah, we'll see what else we can use it for. So basically, we have this big open space where all of this stuff lives. And every time we go sailing, I need to store it on the bed so it doesn't get tossed elsewhere. So Cleo's very thrilled by this. But our idea is to build a shelf so all of that stuff can live happily there while we're sailing. So
if you ever get the feeling you're gonna fade away, I could be there behind you to pick the pieces up too late.
After a few coats of varnish, the cabinet looked like it had been there all along.
So that's a small taste of all of the little projects we do aboard Avocet in between the big ones. We hope you enjoyed this video and look forward to sharing more sailing content with you very soon. But until then, next on Sailing Avocet.